Welcome to a little video I wanted to do about bright line eating. I wanted to go over the pros and cons for you guys in case you are like me and maybe during quarantine you decided that normal food rules don't apply to you and also decided to stop working out. That happened. I think I gained like 25 pounds over quarantine, maybe even 30. I'm not kidding you. I gained a pretty substantial amount of weight during quarantine, and I started Weight Watchers over the summer. I did Weight Watchers for 3 months. I liked a lot of things about Weight Watchers, and I disliked several things about Weight Watchers. I ultimately quit for the same reason that I do all the time. Weight Watchers does not address my need for like very clear boundaries. So for instance, like with Weight Watchers, you have a point system, and if you can spend the points however you want. So I'd start off the day for breakfast, I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna stay in like this amount of points. And then I'd start thinking, well, no, I actually wanna add this and that. So I'll add this, and then for lunch, I just won't have as big of a lunch, and I'll like cut down those points there. And then for lunch, the same thing would happen. And then at dinner, I'm like, okay, well, yes, I went well over my points for the entire day. However, I'll just take some of the points for the week. So basically, I was arguing with myself a lot. In Bright Line Eating, in the book by Dr. Susan Peirce Thompson, I think is what her name is, she talks about decision fatigue, how if you're going to do like a food program, it's very, very beneficial to you if there is not a lot of decision making that you have to do. And so that's why you follow a pretty set plan. You're not making the decision. You know exactly what foods you can eat. You know exactly the amounts that you can eat, and you don't have to argue with yourself about, well, I'll just splurge here and then like make up for it later, which none of us ever do. Well, some of y'all probably have self-control. And I know that I've said this before, but I wanted to just point out again that this is not a program for people who have like a casual, easy breezy, friendly relationship with food. No, this is for people who feel like they don't have control when they enter food settings, who think about food all the time, who have issues with binging, or just like your portions are non-existent. And then it's really, really helpful for people like me who never actually feel satisfied. Like I can feel full, but not satisfied. And anyway, I thought that was always my fault. Like I had a self-control issue, but it's actually my brain. So Dr. Susan Peirce Thompson says in her book that basically some of us are eating particular kinds of food, and those foods cause our insulin levels to rise. The increased insulin blocks leptin, which makes our brains think that we're starving. And therefore, it's not a self-control issue. It's not like, oh, if you could just be a more disciplined person, you would be able to control your portions and what foods you're eating. It's not that at all. It's basically for different reasons. There's like a lot of science in her book, which is surprisingly easy to read and makes a ton of sense. But I could go into that in another video. That's not for today. But the general point I want to get across is that if you feel out of control with food, it's likely not a self-control willpower problem. It's likely just your brain isn't acting right. So I just wanted to go through the pros and cons for this program for you, just in case you're considering something like this program and want to know what it feels like after having done it for several months, which I think I'm at like almost at 2.5 months that I've been doing this program. So I'm going to start with the pros and let you guys know the things that I have found so great about this program. Number one, and I just spoke about this a little bit, but I no longer argue with myself over what to eat or how much. There are very clear boundaries for what I need to be putting into my mouth every day. Number two, my cravings are almost totally gone, which is incredible. Like before this program, I thought about food and obsessed over what I was going to eat constantly. It was just a ridiculous waste of my time and my energy and my willpower. Number three, I don't feel out of control around food, even when people are eating sugar, which has always been kind of my kryptonite. So are there times when I feel like a huge desire to have something that someone is eating around me, especially if it's sugar? Yes. However, those I would never have been able to resist prior to this point, and I have like made some slip ups in the past 2.5 months, but it's been pretty negligible. Like, I cannot even believe that I'm this person who has control over what they eat. It's just incredible, and crazy. Incredible. All right. Number 4, losing weight. Like, I haven't stayed exactly on the program the way I should have since the beginning, and I've still lost a lot of weight. For me, I think it was important for me to just kind of feel my way through this program, and give grace to myself as I'm trying to learn and just create a completely different life for myself, because I am basically reinventing how I look at food and how I look at my life and all kinds of different things, like what I do when I'm reaching for comfort, like, no, it's not food, it's something else. So anyway, I say that to just say, if I would have stayed very strictly on this, I think I would have lost 20 pounds by now for sure. But I'm at like 14 pounds. By my calculation, if I get completely on track with all of this, I should be at my goal weight by the summertime, and that is awesome. But I'm not stressing about it, I'm just enjoying the process. Number 5 is probably the biggest one for me. These are not in any order, but I don't have any more brain fog. Like, true, if I'm super exhausted, then my thoughts might be a little bit harder to assemble. However, I all the time felt like I was kind of in a dream a little bit. Like, my brain fog was so enormous. I would forget things a lot. It was difficult for me to just stay on task, and I feel so much clarity since I started this program. Number 6, way more energy. This has been a huge, powerful impact on my life because I have so many kids, so many things to do, and like, I was just dragging and surviving before. I have a ways to go. I want to get to like where I feel like I can take the entire day from the moment I get up to the moment I get to sleep. I feel like completely equipped. But for now, like, this is incredible. This is such improvement. Number 7, I feel better mentally. Like, I've always had depression and anxiety. However, since I've started this program, I feel like the cycles of depression and anxiety are less intense, and I'm able to recover more quickly. So also, like, game changer. Number 8, I am more motivated to do things that I don't usually have the energy for. And this is like projects around the house, playing with the kids, doing things for myself. There are a lot of ways that my life has subtly shifted in such really positive ways. Number 9, I'm in a better mood. I am not an angel face all the time. No, I am not. But I was always like either wanting sugar and that made me cranky, or eating sugar and I was like 5 seconds happy and then crashing from sugar. And I don't know, I just feel like I have an allergy to sugar. It makes me super cranky in the wanting it and in the eating it. And so since I've eliminated that, my mood has been a lot better. And of course, when you have more energy, your mood is better too. So those are my pros. Let's move on to the cons before this video gets too long. The cons. Number 1, no sugar ever. Dr. Susan Pierce Thompson says that this is like how she's going to live her life forever. And I honestly think that that's how it'll be for me in the end, because I've kind of tried to have a little sugar here and there, and either I'm not strong enough yet or I never will be. I haven't figured that out yet, but I just, every once in a while, I'll try like one teeny little thing and see how it makes me feel, which I actually think is fine. Like, for me, I need to kind of dabble and see, is this just not for me now, or can I never ever touch the stuff? Number 2, no alcohol. This is the same thing. I don't know why I didn't realize this. I started drinking alcohol without mixers because I thought, oh, well, if I'm not drinking something with juice, or if I'm not having wine or something, then there's no sugar. No, alcohol is sugar, guys. Anyway, I didn't need to be drinking anyway, Like, I just have an addictive personality, and so for me, cutting it out feels really good. However, I still think about, like, am I going to be able to, like, go out with people and have a glass of wine and feel like comfortable and still feel like I'm in control? I don't know. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it, but there are worse things than cutting alcohol out of your life. Number 3, no flour. The issue with no flour is that so many things use flour. Same with sugar, but basically I've just kind of had to make peace with the fact that pasta is not really in my life anymore and baked goods aren't, and that makes me sad. But where there is flour, there is always sugar. It's just the way it is, and I needed to get rid of it. Number 4, this is the first like real con for me because the first 3 were just necessary, but there is a lot of preparation required in order to do this right. I think that if you're going to be healthy, period, you have to have a lot of time to set yourself up for success, basically. And Dr. Thompson says that the best thing to do for this is to plan your meals the night before. I have done that for, I would say, probably 3 or 4 weeks. I made sure that I planned out my meals. I haven't been doing it lately. I do think I should go back to doing that because it does help. But the other thing is, like, you're not always going to have time to prepare a separate meal from your family if that's your situation. Or sometimes you might just like be running around and crazy and then all of a sudden you're starving, and do I have the energy to put into making a meal? Maybe not. So being prepared is something I'm not great at, but I'm having to learn. The number 5 con is I can't rely on certain comfort foods when I'm depressed or in a bad mood. This is on the surface a con, but this is a really good thing. And it kind of goes into number 6, so I'll say number 6 and talk about that. Number 6 for me, there's a lot of self-analysis, like why on earth have I allowed food to control me so much? So seeking comfort in food or dulling my like pain or whatever with food is just part of my life. I've been doing this forever. And since these behaviors are so ingrained in me, it's taken me quite a bit of time to sort out what I'm even doing. Like, you just do these things unconsciously. And so bright line eating has been really good for me because I've had to like pull back and realize, like, why am I reaching for ice cream when I'm upset, as opposed to like journaling what's going on, or like getting some activity or going outside. So I've had to really kind of reframe why I'm reaching for like negative habits to help me feel better, and how to reach for positive things to work through like my feelings and emotions properly. Feels very grown up. Number 7, making myself part of a meal or an entirely different meal than my family. This has been kind of difficult just for the obvious reason, like if you're making dinner anyway, it's just so much easier to make the same thing for everybody. And a lot of the time they're eating like carb stuff, like noodles, or a lot of noodles actually. And I end up eating a lot more vegetables on this plan, particularly at dinner. And so just needing to make myself something different requires time and effort. So that's a little bit of a hassle. And number 8, my final con, is learning new recipes and different things. Like, I finally figured out how to do zucchini noodles the way I like them. I've always hated them, but I finally found a video that really showed me a way that makes them so tasty. And in my process of like looking for videos, that's kind of why I wanted to start including some Brightline eating videos on my channel, because I found very few video resources and I found almost no resources for vegans. So yeah, that's been a little bit of a con. It's kind of taken me some time to figure out like a pretty good amount of recipes that I can use for the week so I don't get bored. So that is about the extent. I think this video is probably longer than I intended it to be. However, I just wanted to just tell you guys how it's going. I think when you're first starting off on a program, it's very easy to be like excited about it. But once you've been doing it for a minute, I think that that's when it's easier to tell, like, this is something that's going to work for me. I've never stuck to anything and been happy about it at this point in the journey, like 2 or 3 months in. And the more I do this program, the more I know that I need and want to stick with it. So hopefully that was helpful for you. If you want me to elaborate on anything or have any other questions, just drop them in the comments below, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye. Hello and welcome to Vlogmas Day 3, and also a little video that I wanted to do. Why? Okay.